Hey, this is journal page 82, section 4.4, number 1. 5 minus 3x is greater than 8. So we undo the addition and subtraction first. Now I'm not going to add 3x because it's this 5 I want to get rid of. And I'm not going to add 5 because I'm not subtracting 5. I have a positive 5 here. I need to subtract 5 from each side. When I subtract the 5 from over here, these cancel out, leaving me with negative 3x. I didn't multiply or divide by a negative, so I don't flip this around. I leave it the same. And 8 minus 5 is 3. Now I divide both sides by a negative 3. This will stay x. 3 divided by negative 3 is negative 1. And I have to flip that sign around now because I did just divide both sides by a negative. X is less than negative 1. So when you graph that one, negative 1, 0, negative 2, open circle because it doesn't say or equal to, and it's pointing off to the left. Less than. Number 2, negative 4x minus 7 is less than or equal to 9. Well, we have to get rid of addition and subtraction first. We'll get rid of this subtraction by adding 7 to both sides. 9 plus 7 is 16. Negative 4x. Now I'll divide both sides by this negative 4. And I'm left with x. Flip the sign because I just divided by a negative 4. And 16 divided by 4 is 4, and I've got one of each. So different signs, negative. When I graph that, negative 4 I can put in the middle here, negative 3 off to the right, negative 5 off to the left. Closed circle because it says or equal to, and it's pointing to the greater than or to the right. Number 3. 3 plus 4.5x is greater than or equal to 21. So I'll subtract 3 from both sides to start. 4.5x, this will stay the same, greater than or equal to 21 minus 3 is 18. Now I divide by 4.5 on both sides. And I'm left with x. I don't have to flip this because I see a negative on both sides here, but I was subtracting 3. I wasn't multiplying or dividing by a negative. And I just divided by a decimal, but it's no rule about dividing by a decimal, only if it were a negative. 4.5 goes into 9 twice, so it goes into 18 4 times. And to graph it, I'll put a closed circle because it says or equal to, and it goes off to the right because it says or greater than. Number 4. Negative 2y minus 5 is greater than 5 halves. So I add 5 to both sides. Negative 2y is greater than, well, 5 halves is the same as 2 1/2 plus 5. 2 1/2 plus 5 is 7 1/2. 7 1/2. Now I divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. Why? I'm flipping the sign because it's a negative. A positive divided by a negative is going to give me a negative, one of each, negative. And 7 1/2, now I'm going to turn it into a improper fraction, 15 halves. So 15 halves divided by negative 2, divided by negative 2, which is negative 2 over 1. Turn that into multiply. 15 halves times 1 over 2, negative, gives me 15 over 4 of the negative variety. So I already have my negative here, so 15 over 4. And when I graph that, I'll put negative 15 fourths here. If I am going closer to 0, That'd be negative 14/4 here and negative 16/4 here. Open circle, because it doesn't say or equal to, and pointed to the left. Number 5. 2 times y minus 4 is less than negative 18. I have to do that distributive property first. So 2 times y is 2y. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8, less than negative 18. Add 8 to both sides. And I'm left with 2y is less than, different sign subtract, keep the sign of the larger absolute value, so negative 10. Divide by 2, and y is less than negative 5. I never had a reason to flip that around, so I didn't. And I have negative 5, negative 4, negative 6, open circle, pointing to the left. Negative 6 greater than or equal to negative 6 y minus 3 flip the side, so I'm going to flip that sign too. So now I'm putting this whole side over here, negative 6 y minus 3, turn that sign around, negative 6. Now I use the distributive property, so negative 6y, negative 6 times negative 3, positive 18. Subtract 18 from both sides. Negative 6y. Now I was subtracting 18. I didn't multiply or divide by a negative, so this stays less than or equal to. Negative 6 and negative 18 is a negative 24. Same sign, add and keep. Now I divide by negative 6, leaving me with y. Now I do turn that around. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. 24 divided by 6 is 4. And I can graph it with a closed circle because it says or equal to, going off to the left. Number 7. You borrow $200 from a friend to help pay for a new laptop computer. You pay your friend back negative $12 per week. Write and solve an inequality to find out when you will owe your friend less than $60. So I started with $200 that I owe them, and I'm subtracting from that $12 for every week, so $12 for every week. And I want to know, when is that going to be less than, will you owe your friend less than $60? Not or equal to, but less than $60. So I'm going to subtract 200 from both sides. And I have negative 12w is less than negative 140. Divide both sides by negative 12. And I divided by a negative, so I've got to turn that. W is greater than, and I want 140 divided by 12. Well, 12 goes into 14 once, which is 12. 12 goes into 20 once, which is 12. And then I've got 8 left over, so 8 twelfths. So 11 and 8 twelfths. When will I owe my friend less than $60? So on week 11, 11 is not greater than 11 and 8 twelfths. I'll have to go up to week 12. 12 is the first integer that is greater than 11 and 8 twelfths. So week 12. Have a fantastic evening.